Welcome back to the Lumiose Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we're going to be talking about some of the best Easter eggs from the franchise that I'm willing to bet that at least a lot of you won't know. At least you won't know all of these, I don't think. So strap in and let's make this a fun little challenge even. Why don't you just go ahead and hit that magical little subscribe button if you already haven't. And if you happen to know everything in here, then that's great. You can unsubscribe and you don't have to ever watch my videos again. But if you did learn something, then keep that subscribe button having said subscribed on it. And just keep watching my videos because you might learn something new every video. But yeah, let's get into it. We're going to start super easy with the Terastal hats. The Terastal hats have a lot of Easter eggs in them. So first, if you look at the flying Terastal hat, it's a bunch of balloons. Now this may not seem like much, but this is a reference to, in Gen 1, the like flying Pikachu just kind of artwork that was always seen was Pikachu depicted as having balloons tied around it. This was further emphasized by the mystery gift that came out like at the beginning of Scarlet and Violet's run, was a Pikachu with the flying Terra type that also knew Fly, so you literally could get flying Pikachu. Then later there was a Terra raid for a Pikachu that knew Surf and had the water Terra typing, so it was your surfing Pikachu. So, you know, it's clear that this was supposed to be a reference to that. Furthermore, if you look at the Ghost Terastal hat, you can see that it is the Gen 1 Ghost Sprite from when you would go to Lavender Town and you'd go into the Pokemon Tower. You'd encounter a wild ghost Pokemon, but you didn't have the Silph Scope yet, so you couldn't identify it as a Ghastly or Haunter, and it was just a ghost. That's what they're doing here. It's just a ghost sprite. That's the Terastal hat. By the way, this is also reference in Hisuian Snow, which is a little short that they did about the Hisui region, a little short web series, I should say. And in this, the shiny Hisuian Zorua conjures up a illusion, and it is of this Gen 1 Ghost Sprite. So, you know, just kind of neat references all around, and in a way, that being on top of Zorua, being formed from the top of Zorua, is almost as if this Hisuian Zorua was foreshadowing Terastal hats. Like, we had no idea that that actually would be a thing you could do with Hisuian Zorua in the next game. But yeah, I think that's really neat. So, moving into the next thing, we have Wooper. And Wooper, it's actually really interesting. I love this one so much. But if you look at Wooper's Japanese name, it is Upa. So not very different from Wooper. But if you look at its two different forms, the Jotonium form and the Paldeum form, if you look at the Jotonium form's official artwork, it looks like it's saying ooh. And then if you look at the Paldean artwork, it looks like it's saying pa. So it's literally the two of them put together. They're saying Upa, because they're saying their name. Because not only is that their name, but, you know, that's the Pokemon thing to do. You say your name, that's your cry, right? Now let's hop over to Unova and look at the pseudo-legendary of the 5th generation, that is Hydreigon. If you look, Hydreigon has these weird, like, tread marks on it. And this actually is a reference to Hydreigon's original design. Hydreigon was originally supposed to be a tank-inspired line, and this was eventually changed to be the Hydra-based line we know today, but they decided to leave in the tread marks on Hydreigon's design just to kind of reference its roots as a tank-based Pokemon. It's kind of wild to think that this Pokemon that does not resemble a tank at all was at one point a tank. That's just so weird to think about. Moving into the next one, we have Eiscue and its whole existence. So Eiscue is a Pokemon introduced in Gen 8, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but in Gen 8 especially, they really started ramping up Pokemon being inspired by real things from the real world, from the real location that the games are set in. So, like, for example, in the Galar region, it's set in the UK, and all of their Pokemon are extremely, like, rooted in UK lore or history or things, even things that are not, like Phalanx or Berserker, are rooted in something that once existed there. Like, used to, Vikings did settle in the UK, and used to, the Roman Empire did span up to the UK, so that's why you have Phalanx and Berserker. So all this to say that what's a penguin doing there, because penguins don't live in the UK, they live in Antarctica, which is like, depending on how you're looking at the world, like the opposite side of the freaking world. Well, this is actually based on a real thing that happened where a penguin just randomly washed up on the British shore. There was no explanation for why it happened. It just happened. But yeah, that's what Eiscue is a reference to, and that's even why it's depicted as just kind of being very aloof, and, you know, it talks about how it actually came from another region, just floated over here one day. It is literally a reference to just this one random penguin that washed up on the British shore, which I love. I think that's so cool. That's such a deep cut to make a Pokemon based off of, just this one random thing that happened that wasn't, like, earth-shattering or anything. It's just kind of funny. But yeah, I love that so much. So then we also have, looking at dex entries still, we have, if you look at Paldea's dex entry for Dragonite, it talks about how there is said to be an island in the middle of the ocean where Dragonite live. This is likely a reference to Dragonite Island, which is a place that we see in the anime, specifically in Pokemon Journeys. Ash and Go visit Dragonite Island, and Ash even trains up a Dragonair and like helps a Dragonair evolve into a Dragonite and ends up catching that Dragonite. So Ash's Dragonite is actually from this Dragonite Island. And it's the same thing. It's an island in the middle of the ocean that was really just legend where a bunch of Dragonite gather. And that's exactly what we see. And then it's directly referenced in Paldea, which is really neat that they reference the anime. They don't do it often, but they have before, like Steven referencing Alon when you show him a shiny Beldum, or the shiny Beldum from the specific event. And there's other instances of the anime crossing over with the games a little bit too. But I thought this was really neat that they just straight up referenced the place where Ash caught his Dragonite. Now for this last bit of trivia and Easter eggs from Pokemon lore or games, whatever you want to say, there's something that I want to pull from the anime instead, and this is something that as a kid I always wondered about. When Gary battles Giovanni in the episode, I believe it's called The Battle of the Badge, he is defeated by Giovanni's Mewtwo, and you know, it's this whole thing where like they don't let Ash, Misty, and Brock in. It's only Gary who is allowed in, him and his, you know, cheerleaders of course. And when Ash does open up the door, he sees that Gary and all the cheerleaders are passed out on the ground. Now, why the heck is this? Did Giovanni drug them? What happened here? I always wondered as a kid, why are they all on the ground? What happened? It just knocked out his Pokemon. Well, this is actually likely a reference to what happens when you lose in battle in the games. It says when you lose a battle that you blacked out. And so that's exactly what happened. Gary lost his battle against Giovanni, and because of that, he blacked out. And his cheerleaders did too, because I guess they also were just in such disbelief that he could lose that they blacked out. But yeah, I thought that was neat that that's why Gary is passed out, is it's a reference to what happens when a trainer loses a battle. They black out. But yeah, be sure to let me know in the comments which of these you knew, which of these you didn't know. Also, let me know if there's any Easter eggs that you have that you think are really cool and should have made this list. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss our future videos where we talk about fun things from the Pokemon world like this, or we do theory videos, predictions, all kinds of fun stuff here. You don't want to miss it. It's a lot of fun, so be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And until next time, I will see all of you later.